Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today we will discuss a brief summary of Julius Caesar, a play written by Shakespeare, and this play was based on true historical events because in Greek in Rome 2000 years ago there was a king Julius Caesar who was murdered by his own friends. So let's come to the summary. Uh, this play starts when Julius Caesar has won a civil war against his rival Pompey general who was against Julius Caesar was a general and Pompey was a general. Both of them they were fighting with each other, and at the end Julius Caesar had defeated the sons of General Pompey and he enters into the city as victorious. When he enters, the two tribunes, Flavius and Marullus, tribunes means those who control the discipline, like policemen or some government employees. So people they were on the roads and they were welcoming Julius Caesar, and these two tribunes they were trying to control the people, but the people were they were out of control. They were welcoming him and they were actually in great love for Julius Caesar. They considered him as a true leader of them. So he enters with his three friends, Brutus, Antony, and Cassius. When they enter, people they welcome him. Everyone was happy. Cassius meets Brutus. Three of them they were also military generals. Cassius and Brutus. Cassius had ill intentions. He wanted to take all the powers, and his intention was to remove Julius Caesar by hook or by crook, because it was not possible for them, for him actually, to defame Julius Caesar or to convince the people that Caesar was not good for them. So he had a plan to kill Julius Caesar. But to execute that plan, it was very important for him to take Brutus into his confidence because Brutus was the most trustworthy and closest friend of Julius Caesar. Now they were discussing, and Cassius was trying to convince Brutus that Caesar is not good for. If he attains power, he becomes the king, he becomes the ruler. It will not be good for the people of Greek because he tries to tell Brutus that Brutus was greater general than Julius Caesar, and Julius Caesar, whatever the respect he has earned from the people, it is not God gifted. Like he was not deserving it. Actually, all it happened with the help of Caesar and Brutus. So while they were, he was also talking about the health issues with Julius Caesar. He was also talking about his temper, and he was also talking about his ideas. And Brutus was listening to him. Then, uh, while they were discussing, Julius Caesar enters, and when he looks at Cassius, Julius Caesar says that Cassius is not a trustworthy person. He says that he doesn't trust him. Now, Cassius, he had made a plan and he has hatched a conspiracy, but he knew that if he directly tells Brutus that let's go and kill Julius Caesar, Brutus will never agree. Brutus was himself a believer of democracy, believer of the will of the people. And Cassius was telling him that if Julius Caesar comes into power, he will turn the republic, the democracy, into dictatorship. He will become a king, having all the powers. So the voices of the people they will be suppressed. Brutus was this kind of person. Now Cassius, as Brutus comes to home, he receives many letters. Those letters, the sender's address were some common citizens, those who were living there, and in the letters it was written that Julius Caesar was not good for the people. He must be removed by one way or the other. While he was reading the letters, Cassius enters into his home with one of the conspirators because he has made the conspiracy and there are multiple men who are in that conspiracy. They enters and Brutus was already convinced by those letters. He welcomes them and he becomes part of the plan to kill Julius Caesar by tomorrow when he enters into Senate, into daily routine business. Now, when they had decided, while discussing, Cassius said that Antony, who is also a friend of Caesar, he said, while killing Julius Caesar, we must kill Antony too. But Brutus says that Antony must not be killed, because if they kill Antony, then everyone will believe that it was a conspiracy to attain power, that they both of them they have been killed by a plan. So Antony was Cassius agreed to Brutus. He said that okay, they would murder this Julius Caesar, and they will not do any harm to Antony. Now Portia, who is wife of Brutus, she has listened all this. She knows all this, and she tries to convince him, but he is not convinced. On the other hand, while when in the beginning of this video, when I said that Julius Caesar entered into the city, when he entered, there was a common citizen, soothsayer. He said one famous line of Julius Caesar, that beware from the Ides of March. It was a prediction, it was a prophecy. Beware from the Ides of March means that on 15th of March something bad is going to happen with you. So be very careful about it. He just gives the advice, but there was too much noise, and Caesar listened to him and he ignores him, and he doesn't give any value to him. Now a kind of a prophecy, a kind of a prediction, a kind of, you can say, a danger that was approaching, it was informed to him, but he became indifferent and he moved onward. He didn't believe in this. On the other hand, uh, Calpurnia, the wife of Julius Caesar, she also tries to convince Julius Caesar that do not go to Senate, stay at home, because she says that she had some bad dreams. She had seen some bad dreams, and in the dreams, she had seen that Julius Caesar is bleeding and someone is laughing, and such kind of dreams that she is not satisfied. She is completely upset. She tries to convince him that do not go there, and she also tries to tell him uh, different logics, that he should be convinced and he should stay there. While she was convincing her, at the end he was somehow convinced. But at that particular moment, when he was convinced that he will not go there, another conspirator, whose name was Decius, he enters into the house of Julius Caesar, and he tells him that the illusions of Portia, Calpurnia, the wife of Julius Caesar, he says that whatever your wife has told you, these are only dreams and imaginations, and it doesn't mean that someone is going to kill you. You are a favorite person of everyone, so no one is going to kill you. You should go to Senate and you should go there. You should go there and you should continue as a routine business as you do every day. So Julius Caesar, he ignores what his wife has told, and he agrees to the advice of Decius. So the next day he goes there. In the meanwhile, he was not actually, before going there, one incident is left, and that was about Casca. Casca is a politician. When Brutus and Cassius they were making conspiracy to kill Julius Caesar, this Casca, he was a politician. He comes there and he informs them that Julius Caesar has refused to accept to become a king. He has been offered kingship by Antony three times, and he has refused it. This information provided by Casca also tells us that Julius Caesar was not a person of dictator mind. He was also a democrat, because he had himself refused the crown. Now, coming to the day of the Senate when Julius Caesar was murdered, he goes there. While he was going, the same person, the soothsayer, he again says the same, that beware today, there is a conspiracy against you, but he ignores. He says that if something happens to me, it doesn't matter, but my country is more important for me, so I will go there. While he was going there, after this soothsayer, one other person whose name is it's mentioned here, I think, yes, at the number 7, Artemidorus, he hands over a letter to Julius Caesar. He gives a letter, and in the letter it was written that there is a conspiracy hatched against him and he will be killed today. But Julius Caesar, he completely ignores the letter, he doesn't read it, and he moves on. As he enters into the Senate, there people come to meet him, those who had made the conspiracy. They had the knives, so one by one they stabbed him. When he was about to be killed, like he was about to be dead, then he saw Brutus. Brutus also stabbed him. Then he looked up at Brutus and he spoke these historical lines that et tu Bruti, which means you too Brutus, and then he dies. You there he was completely broken by the betrayal of his closest friend. Now when he was killed, the real story again starts. It doesn't end here. Then it was a problem because everyone has seen them while killing them. Now Brutus and Cassius, they make another plan. The plan was to convince the people on the funeral of Julius Caesar that the killing of Julius Caesar was very important for the people of Greek. So they, on the day of the funeral, and this was agreed that Antony, who was a closest friend of Julius Caesar, and he has also taken an oath in his heart that he will take revenge of Julius Caesar. So but he didn't show his intention neither to Brutus nor to Cassius. He says that Brutus and Antony both will address the people on the day of the funeral, and Brutus agreed. Both of them, they went there on the stage. First Brutus explained that it was very necessary to kill Julius Caesar because he had bad ambitions, but he doesn't provide any proof. After his speech, Antony, who had promised them not to speak anything uh, to invoke the people or to incite the people, but when he come up on the stage, he started speaking against Brutus and Cassius, and he said that the killing of Julius Caesar was a murder, and Julius Caesar had no bad ambitions. He was actually the true leader of the people of this country. And he also tells them that Brutus had given me his will. If I read his will, then all the people, he says that if he reads the will of Julius Caesar, then the people will know that what kind of great person Julius Caesar was. He also brought the dead body of Julius Caesar in front of the people, a wounded dead body, completely bleeding dead body, so that the people can be uh, made aware of everything, whatever has happened. So, when he brought the dead body of Julius Caesar before the people, and he was speaking, and he tells them that this murder was pre planned and it was a plan to attain the power, and the murder of Julius Caesar cannot be justified. And when he says that he will, the people who were listening to him, they insisted that we insist you to please read the will of Julius Caesar. And he reads the will. In the will it was written that all the money belongs to Julius Caesar must be distributed among the citizens on equal basis, and his all lands and gardens must be donated to the state and to the people. When the people, they heard this will, they thought that what a great man had been killed, so they turned against Cassius and Brutus. They thought they, at the same time, they started to throw Cassius and Brutus out of the state. So both of them, they left the state because the people, they were angry at them. If they stay there, they could have been killed. Now another character, an adopted son of Caesar, Octavius. he enters. He was adopted by Julius Caesar, and he was also considered as the successor of Julius Caesar. You can say the new leader of that country of Greek. Then uh, Octavius and Antony, both of them, they planned to fight a war against Cassius and Brutus, who outside the boundaries of the city were planning, organizing a big army, and they were planning to attack Octavius and Antony. Antony and Octavius, they started marching against Cassius and Brutus. When they were going, there was an argument between both of them. The argument was Antony, he tries to give some orders to Octavius that he should follow his orders while they enter into the battlefield. But Octavius, he refuses because he himself considers one of the great generals, and he himself considered as a new general, new leader of the people after Julius Caesar. When they enter into the battlefield, there is Brutus and Cassius' army was there. At that time, the Brutus army was not fighting like the people who were with Brutus, the army with Brutus, it was not fighting like army men, and Cassius men, they were also not fighting well. Actually, they were losing the war. Brutus and Cassius, they were losing the war. While they were losing the war, there was no other option left for them. Cassius, except to retreat, there was only one option. But within the battlefield, one incident happened, and that was between Cassius and his closest friend, Titinius. He was very close friend of Cassius, and he was also a fighter, a general. So Cassius, when he was observing what is happening in the battlefield, he sends one of his men, and he asks that provide him the information what is going on in the battlefield. When he enters there, he was informed that his closest man, Titinius, has been captured because they have seen that some people were standing around him and they were cheering. So, in the battlefield in old times, it was thought that the other person has been killed, will be killed, or will be captured. So, he's captured. When Cassius he hears that Titinius has been captured or killed, maybe, so he asks his army men that he wants to be killed, and then he kills himself at the after listening this news, and he knew that there was no other option other than death because his army had completely lost. But as he has killed himself, his friend Titanius, he was not captured. Actually, he was within his own men. He was not surrounded by the army, by the opponent army, but he was surrounded by his own men. When he enters, when he comes there and he sees the dead body of Cassius, he could not hold himself and he kills himself. He also commits suicide. Then Brutus, he he is also observing the same, that his army is losing completely. So, and he also was too much grieved because his wife Portia, she has killed herself. She has committed suicide because she could not bear that guilt of her husband, that killing of Julius Caesar. And Calpurnia, the wife of Julius Caesar, she had also committed suicide after the death of Julius Caesar. Now, at the end, Brutus, when he has observed that Cassius is dead and his army has also lost and is almost leaving, then he also kills himself. And Antony and the adopted son of Caesar, Octavius, they both become the victorious generals. And when they come back, Antony, he gives due respect to Brutus while saying that Brutus was one of the great men, and uh, Brutus' intention was not bad, but he whatever he did, that was a crime, the killing of Julius Caesar. So they prayed for him, and then they come back, and that is the end of the play.